Hello there, listeners. This is producer Adam. I have a quick disclaimer about this episode of Questlog. For those of you who observe Christmas in your household, particularly the story of Santa Claus, you may want to practice a little bit of listener discretion if you have younger adventurers who like to listen. The Adventuring Party talks about the story of Christmas for just a little bit in this episode, and right around the 29-minute mark, you're going to hear this sound. And when you do, you should skip ahead about 1 minute, just in case. And with that, let's jump into this episode of Questlog.
Hello, welcome to Questlog. I'm Joseph Leek again.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
I'm Helene Hannon again.
I'm Tim Hannon, but I'm not again. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to Questlog. We have a special guest today.
Yes.
Ilan Emanuel is joining us. He is a rabbi in the Syracuse area, and we are pleased to have you. Hello, Ilan.
Hello.
Hello.
So, what nerdy things have you been doing lately?
Oh my. I participate in a regular Dungeons and Dragons pickup game at a local store.
Yay!
For a while, I was also trying some different games there as well to run because I've been playing some version of Dungeons and Dragons since 1984, I think.
Wow.
When I was 11. But I will say that as time went by, I started getting into other games more. I think I seem to remember you, Tim, you mentioned that you were into Mage. I got into that quite a bit. And more recently, some Powered by the Apocalypse games and Fate and my great gaming tabletop love of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. That kind of stuff. So I tried several of those there. And other than that, enjoying just general sci-fi stuff on TV and movies. Just saw the second Wicked movie, which was excellent, although sadly, because it is the second half of a musical, nowhere near as good as the first one, because the second half of the musical is never as good as the first half.
Yeah, that does sound right. Well, I have the sense that you fit in with us very well here on this podcast.
So
I'm always interested to hear people who say, I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for such a long time. I started probably in 1990 or something playing AD&D. But what made you want to go to visit other things after so long playing D&D?
Well, so actually I started with D&D, or rather I started with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons back in the day. But actually quite quickly I ended up moving on to other things just because that's what was going on at university. That was where I got introduced to Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and which I sort of enjoyed as a gritty, it's sort of a combination. I think they actually pitched it originally as Dungeons and Dragons meets Cthulhu.
Oh, fun.
That sounds great to me.
I always found that what I liked about it is it was Dungeons and Dragons meets Cthulhu with a sort of Monty Python-esque humor to it.
Wow. This is layered.
Perfect.
It sounds like it's dark humor.
Right. Yeah, it was very British. I mean, that was the thing. And as you can probably hear from the remnant of my accent, I was born in the States, but I was raised in England before I came back. And actually, the person you'll like this, the person who introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons was actually a very devout Church of England Anglican. At least he was at the time.
Yes. So, well, and the person who introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons, which is Father Tim there
you go.
was a future Anglican, future Episcopalian priest. I mean, what is it with you Anglicans and Episcopalians and Dungeons and Dragons? Who would have thought?
It's a gateway,
It's a gateway, right, to the Episcopalian and Anglican church.
That's
clearly.
I was talking to my when I was first getting into the church again and getting into the Episcopal Church, my medieval studies professor asked me, "What in the world are you doing going to church now?" I mean, no problem, whatever, but like, where did this come from? And I said, well, I've been studying all this stuff in medieval literature and all these people who go to church all the time and these rituals and stuff. And I kind of got interested in it. What are these rituals about? And it was,
Yeah.
and I think, D&D and these kind of things are similar. Like you play them, it's like, ooh, rituals. Ooh, this is really, really fun. And it's like, not summoning demons or anything like that, but the ritual is so interesting and fascinating and whatnot. And of course, my professor said, most people who are medieval studies people go the other way. They become less religious because of all of it and learning about the history of the church and whatnot. But somehow you've become more religious. I'm like, well,
That's their loss.
that's their loss.
Right.
But
right.
there's something about playing D&D, and especially about like games like Mage, where it's like you get into like the nitty gritty of like the mystical and the strange and the numinous, and that's so much a part of my appreciation of the liturgy, the ritual, and whatnot. I don't know. It seems to go hand in hand to me.
When I was getting into Mage back in the mid to late 90s, I think, I enjoyed the philosophy of it. And then when I started rabbinical school, I'm like, oh yeah, Mage is a lot like medieval Jewish philosophy.
Okay, how so?
So another gateway.
Because Mage is a game of philosophy. I mean, let's be very clear. The World of Darkness games that I think are marvelous are also some of the most pretentious games ever.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes.
You got the vampire, Vampire the Masquerade is all these sort of gothy type, sort of like, I am into darkness. That Werewolf was all very eco-friendly and sort of animistic religion. Changeling was people who go to Ren fairs, and Mage was
spot on, yeah.
philosophical. It was like you can change reality by believing different things. And literally, I think, therefore I am a mage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And
Yes.
I mean, you don't choose a class, you choose a tradition. So it's like, you can choose to be a Christian, which is very weird.
It's one of the things.
Especially one of the things you could be. I mean, it's the celestial chorus, but it's really the church.
Well, I have to tell you that the Celestial Chorus thing annoyed me. In the later editions, they really tried to say, no, the Celestial Chorus doesn't have to be Christian. You can be all kinds of other things, but because they had these faction books for all of the various factions in all of the games. And in I think the first edition of the Celestial Chorus faction book, I remember reading the history of the Celestial Chorus, and somehow they skipped Judaism.
Oh,
Yes, they sort of went straight from, ancient belief in the one, and then Christianity. It's like, wait a second.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, that's not okay.
It's a really big part of this tradition here.
wow.
The third edition fixed it, but
Good. Okay.
They got
the
to it. Yeah.
revised edition or something. Yeah, it fixed it, but it was like, oh, good grief.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
Boo.
So speaking of Jewish medieval mysticism, which is something I've always wanted to say. But one of the things that in high school, I was watching a lot of anime and playing a lot of video games. And the thing was, this is like weird, strange stuff. Neon Genesis Evangelion, Xenogears, all these games. And then apparently someone in Japan, some of these creators had read medieval Jewish mysticism and thought this would make an amazing anime. And
Did that end up with Full Metal Alchemist or something?
It's similar.
That's in there too.
That's in there too, but it's mostly giant robots fighting things from outer space. But in one of the games, Xenogears, the Zohar, which is a
word
giant text, is a machine. It is a giant box, I guess you could say, that produces infinite energy source and contains what's called the wave existence, which might be God, which might not be God, but which powers all of the mechs in the entire game and also can make people disappear and enter into a different dimension. And I mean, so I was playing this game and then, looked up Zohar and found a whole book series on it. I was like, what is this?
It does feel a little bit like it's sort of medieval Jewish mysticism as understood through a game of telephone.
Yeah.
And translating into Japanese.
What Japan has done with the Christian religion is very similar.
Well,
Yeah, I will admit I'm not I'm not as so much of an anime or manga fan. Although I do. I mean, was it Van Helsing and like there was an anime and a manga called Priest.
Yeah.
So like
yeah, I don't know that
post-apocalyptic
one.
violent priest. It was all very odd.
Again, a game of telephone. Something happened across the Pacific Ocean.
Well, and it's a little bit like, we could see as Westerners, as Europeans or Americans, we kind of observe, we'll make a movie or something about China or Japan and be like, yeah, that's how they thought. That's the kind of thing and it's probably similarly from, native Chinese or Japanese eyes, like, whoa, you ran this through a filter, didn't you?
Okay, but we do that with our own traditions too.
Yeah,
I
we do it
mean,
with even
like,
our own traditions, right?
Have you seen
yeah,
the
so
Brothers
it's
Grimm movie? Like,
Well, I remember hearing a podcast about I think about Mage or some World of Darkness thing when they were interviewing some of the original creators, and they were all going, and they're basically just apologizing for how badly they misunderstood and culturally appropriated things like Japanese culture and Roman culture, and just sort of threw that into. I mean, it's like Mage has the Akashic Brotherhood.
I know.
Dear God.
Yes.
And like they're just going, yeah, we're sorry.
right.
Maybe it was a simpler time where they didn't expect it to get so big, or
It
they
was
were
the
just
90s. It was the 90s. Everyone thought they knew
Yeah.
what was going on. I mean,
We had the
I remember
Ninja Turtles.
we had the Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I mean, Splinter was
We must know
clearly
what's
a
going on.
representation of Japanese culture.
Right, yeah, he
Yeah.
was totally accurate, right?
And I do remember reading somewhere that sometimes these things go the other direction, and that something that is very Western gets like really taps into something. So that I think like the most popular role-playing game in Japan is not Dungeons and Dragons, it's Call of Cthulhu.
Ah, interesting.
Oh, goodness.
And it has to do with the fact that if you've ever watched Japanese horror movies, like
Mhm.
no one wins. Like
Right.
everything,
Oh, yeah.
like the supernatural being is going to win because it's supernatural and you're
Right.
not. No. And so Cthulhu is like, yeah, we get this.
right. Oh, that's
That makes
fascinating.
sense. That's interesting.
Joseph, I don't think we've told you much about our instance of playing Call of Cthulhu role-playing game.
No.
So we had three. We were asked to make 3 characters because in one session, most of them would probably die.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Sounds brutal.
And they did.
The joke is the best thing that you can be is an illiterate sprinter. Because if you read anything, you're in trouble.
Right,
If you
right.
read anything, you're going to summon something. If you
Oh,
speak,
man.
so you're illiterate and you can run away really fast. Perfect.
Well, it is interesting. You mentioned the medieval Jewish mysticism. About that, there's actually sort of an element of that in that traditionally, you're not, at least in the sort of Western European and Eastern European Jewish tradition, you're not supposed to learn Kabbalah until you are 40 and married and settled, because if you learn it too early or without sort of enough grounding, you're going to go off into very weird places and it's going to kind of break your brain.
That's interesting.
I've heard of that or similar things.
I heard
That's
that.
cool.
I heard that Ezekiel was encouraged to be read later on in life.
What was this?
Ezekiel?
Oh, well, Ezekiel is just weird.
Yes.
Oh, I love it though.
I mean, well, yes, but I mean, I have a congregant who traditionally Jews don't do tattoos, but there's more who are, not me, but, and this is a congregant who has a lot of tattoos. And I was looking at, at her arms, like, is that an angel as described in Ezekiel? She said, yes.
Whoa.
It was like multiple arms and eyes and.
Right. I mean, it's got a kind of Lovecraftian vibe to it.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, this is something more than you.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah, it is.
Well, I've always understood it as, the same way that you can't, like, imagine trying to get an amoeba to describe the color blue.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
When you have a limited human being trying to understand what they are seeing in the heavens as like he couldn't understand it, so he
Yeah.
describes it in very odd ways. And I mean, there actually was before Kabbalah, which was a later form of Jewish mysticism. Before that, there were earlier forms of mysticism, one of which was based on studying the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel. And the problem with it didn't go very far because they couldn't work out what to do with it. It's like, okay, we're like, but what effect does this have on our lives?
Right.
Whereas Jewish mysticism did a lot of sort of as above, like Kabbalah did a lot of sort of as above, so below, and everything's connected. And so, and understanding how things are connected together so that if you do this spiritually, it's going to have this effect on other things. And so it sort of very much had an element that made it sort of actually practical, and like doing religious things, doing mitzvot, commandments would sort of free the spark of the divine. And so every time you did something good, a religious ritual or a good deed, you would sort of make the world better slightly, So it had very practical effect, whereas the earlier Merkavah mysticism from the book of Ezekiel was like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yes. No dots to connect here.
Not really, no.
Just right. You kind of just have to bask in the awe and fear a little bit.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think we could take a dose of that early Jewish mysticism with the Book of Revelation. I think we take it too practically, and we could take it as just let's just bask in the horror of of all of this and not try
the marvels of yes. Because people are notorious for trying to tie it to current events, political events, and so forth. Yep. I wanted to circle back a little on the topic of, Japanese depictions of faith. When I see that kind of thing as a Westerner, when fellow Westerners do it in this kind of misrepresentation, it's very, you wince. It's kind of, cringing. You cringe. But I have to say, a lot of those stories from anime and manga and Japanese video games and so forth, where they're doing this, I wonder, maybe I'm in an easier position because I know you've struggled with this, Tim. As a layman, I don't have to be sort of saying, should I be bothered by this? I have to say the outcome is rather fruitful. It winds up, you even if you're saying, wow, this is a really not the depiction of the faith, you've really garbled this, or you've run it through this filter. I have to admit, it made a good story. Made a really good story. And maybe I'm in a freer position as a layperson to just not mind. I don't know.
It seems a similar situation. You teach Arthurian lit,
Yeah.
I mean, they certainly garbled Christianity for that too. So,
It kind of runs through this filter, and you could on the one hand say, oh, that's not good, but you also have to admit that's a good story. There was something, and maybe there's something of God's grace in that. It might still make a good story.
Well, Ilan, we've talked about this before in the podcast, that I wish that we use the Christian mythology, the Christian story more in fiction, because I think it's a cool story. There's a lot to it. But I think that the kind of overwhelming power of Jesus Christ in the mythology kind of makes it so that stories have an obvious ending. Like, well, everything's going to be redeemed. So,
Well, it's interesting because from my perspective, I see a lot of Christian mythology, for want of a better term, in a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, but it's not the Jesus part of it. It's the angels and demons part of it.
Yeah.
It's that part, which is not really part of Jewish tradition. I mean, there are angels in Jewish tradition, but they work very differently. One of the interesting things is Superman was created by two nice Jewish boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the story was very much intended to be a sort of Jewish story. He's sent from a planet that's destroyed in a basket of a spaceship,
I see what you did there.
by someone not his own, to be the salvation. And the original comic books had him dealing much more with sort of grounded things. And then later, the sort of Jesus imagery I remember, I think my daughter was just recently rewatching Smallville. Like in the first episode, he's literally crucified.
Oh gosh.
And so they start taking on more Christian imagery. And actually, I think some more sort of, once you join the Justice League, it becomes more like an ancient pagan pantheon.
Right.
And some of the Jewish stuff goes away. But I mean, it was also a Jewish immigrant story where, raised in the heartland and sort of having to pretend he wasn't quite as amazing as he was.
He is. Yeah.
That kind of
Wow.
thing. And it has definitely become more like the imagery has become more Christian than the original Jewish stuff that was like part of the creation of it.
Yeah, that's quite fascinating.
That's
Right. I see
weird.
exactly what you mean. Yeah. The Moses template and that's the part. So this is what I love what you're saying, because as a comic book fan, the Moses part everyone comments on. Like I've heard that many times. Oh yeah, like he's sent away by his parents. It's the sort of Moses-like story. But the other things, yeah, I've never heard these parallels drawn out, but that's fascinating. These other aspects of it as a kind of speaking to the Jewish experience.
Well, I mean, it was really a sort of a projection of, in a sense, an idealized version of what the Jewish immigrants had experienced and sort of wanted to project, which was, look, we're being totally accepted by these totally American Midwest, white people. See,
Right.
I see.
Right. And I think, and Superman has such a, as any like strong superhero does, there's such a element of wish fulfillment also to be like, wouldn't it be nice to also have this kind of strength and power, even if you have to hide it?
I mean, there's also potentially elements connected to the golem, with the idea of a being that is strong and is able to defeat the enemies. And Jews, I mean, it was Jews who created Captain America.
Yes.
And then, and of course, at the time, what they would do, they would project him as a very sort of not Jewish looking person, but he was from New York.
Right.
Right. That's right.
And the first issue has him punching Hitler.
Yeah.
That's right. Right on the cover.
Talk about wish fulfillment.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Pretty cool.
This doesn't speak necessarily to specific religious experience, but on that topic of wish fulfillment, I love telling people the story. You were there for this, Tim. We were, it was a time a few years back when you visited, and we were waiting in line. We were waiting in line to get donuts, actually, at this gloriously delicious donut place.
Oh yeah.
Near where I live. And there was like a father and a little girl. I mean, she was like a tiny thing. She must have been like 4, and she was really, really itty bitty. And she had on an Avengers t-shirt with several Avengers characters on it. And I think we kind of had said like hi to the parent, and we said hi to the kid, and we said we liked her shirt, and we asked her, I asked her, or Tim did, who's your favorite Avenger? And this little girl, this little thing, she says, the Hulk. And I was like, yeah, I totally get that. You're just this, this little wisp of a thing in this world of people bigger than you. Who's your favorite? Who do you want to be like, man? That's some wish fulfillment right there.
Yeah.
The Hulk. This huge thing that nobody needs to be afraid of, or that
No.
everybody's afraid of, but who doesn't have to fear anything. I was like, yes.
She could
I
just
totally
let her
see why this
feelings
little
out,
girl-
and
Right. Yes. Right.
So the girl was just projecting that she liked throwing tantrums. And
Right.
Exactly.
That's right.
and no one can tell her no.
Right. No one can tell her no. That's right. Yes. Right. Yes.
She
I
likes
thought that was so
purple pants.
glorious.
And she's
Like-
always angry.
Right. And she's right. Yeah. This was all resonating with this kid. That's
Right, yeah.
I love it.
You didn't ask any follow-up questions or anything?
No.
Well, there's always that thing, Helene always, not always, but often will say, Tim, stop talking to other people's children. Because
They don't know we have kids.
we don't know we have kids.
They don't know that.
So we were on vacation at one point, and I kept on talking to kids, and she's like, stop.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sometimes you have to tease kids sometimes.
Uh,
Like the other day, I was at I was given a task at my church to let in any kids who arrived for this, the teenagers who arrived for this event late because the door was locked. It was like this glass door, and it was a lot of fun. And these were not people from my church, so I didn't know them. And they would come and knock on the door, and it was like cold outside, and
Joseph.
teenage boys, these two
Joseph.
teenage girls, and I would say things like, these two teenage girls were knocking on the door, and I came up, and I just shook my head no,
Joseph.
and they were like, like, what do we do? And then I opened it a crack, and I said, how much money do you have
Oh my
for me
goodness.
to let you in? They knew I was joking eventually.
Did they?
Yeah, eventually. When I laughed and said, I'm just joking. But I feel we've gotten off topic.
Uh-huh.
You asked earlier what nerdy things we've been doing.
Well, no. I asked what nerdy things Ilan was doing. I don't care about your nerdy things.
Not letting people into your church is what it is, right?
You shall not pass.
Right, none shall pass. So I will answer what nerdy things I've been doing since you asked me. Look, you're going to see this. Listeners at home will not be able to see this, but here's a nerdy thing I've been doing. Look at this. Look at this.
No one can see it.
Should we not
Yes, you
comment
can
on what
see
it is?
Describe.
You got it. Well, you have to comment so listeners can tell what I've
It's
done.
colorful and
Oh yeah, look at these.
well fused.
These are my perler bead creations from weekend. I've got NES Samus Aran here. I've got
Yes.
NES Heat Man here. Perler bead perfection. I made this bomb.
Which is another perler. It's not a real bomb that he made. Listen.
No, I made it. We'll see. It's about to go off. Can't you see?
Yes.
So I've gotten into with my kids doing perler beads of video game things. Now I know no one listening to this can see, but let me assure you, they were magnificent.
They are glorious.
Thank you.
I was thinking about this about Mario recently.
Wait. Are we done talking about me and my perler bead projects?
No. It's connected.
Okay. All right.
So we are raising our children to know Mario and Samus and Mega Man and some of these characters. At least I don't know about you, Ilan, but our kids know, these comic book characters and stuff like that. And we talk about them almost as much as we talk about Jesus. Now, I hope, since one of my daughters is right over there, sitting in the corner, I hope she knows that Mario is not real, and we believe that Jesus is real. But it is an interesting thing where the culture that we're bringing our kids up in has all of these characters and these stories that sometimes make, when I was a young father, I would sing video game songs to my kids because I didn't know any hymns. So.
Wow.
And it was just a do.
And he still does. I visited your church, and instead of hymns, it's all video game songs.
It's like the Bertie Wooster, the PG Wodehouse stuff, where like Bertie's like having some problem as he always does, and his butler Jeeves always comes and saves the day. But, like this guy's totally inept. So Bertie's having this huge problem, and Jeeves keeps talking about someone who could help him. He's like, why don't you get that friend of yours who can help me, Sir Gawain? Like, wouldn't he be so great here? But he doesn't know that that's not actually a real person.
When my daughter was small, like in preschool, and we were in Lincoln, Nebraska at the time, and we sent her to, so there was no Jewish preschools or anything. So we sent her to a local Methodist church preschool. Which I think she wasn't in there on Monday, and that was the day that they did Bible stories. But we get to Christmas, and we're like, because we were like, I mean, I've always sort of, in all honesty, sort of, I always enjoy Christmas sort of as a spectator. I really enjoy seeing everything around. It's just it's not my festival. But you have very good movies and music and things. But we're like, okay, we've told her, like, we want to tell her that Santa Claus isn't real, but then we don't want her to tell her friends that Santa Claus isn't real, because that could be traumatic.
Ilan, my daughter's in the room.
Oh, sorry.
Really?
Go ahead.
Continue with this story.
No, go ahead.
Anyway,
If she didn't know before, she knew now.
fair enough. So we're like sitting down with her, and I said, so it's like, Clifford the big red dog, and she's like, wait, Clifford isn't real? Okay, we have a bigger problem.
Right?
Yeah.
The next year she got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Our daughter said that she kind of knew anyway, but we can now tell people that a rabbi told our daughter.
Oh, that was what we were trying to avoid.
Oh,
Well,
goodness.
all of
No,
this
we
is
won't blame you.
all of this has
Fair
passed
enough.
me by in a blur. I'm still reeling from what Tim said about Mario not being real. That's all I've been able to think
know.
about. I
Right?
don't know where you got
there
that.
are 2, almost 3 movies about him.
Yeah.
The third one's coming out.
He's
He's
a
got to be
plumber.
real.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Well, isn't this basically the whole plot of the movie Galaxy Quest, where the aliens don't understand that the Star Trek-like series isn't real?
Right.
and
Yes.
They
Yes.
kidnap
So good, though.
the actors, thinking they're going to be able to sort of recreate the sort of Kirk Spock-like heroism, and they do, but they do it in the funniest, weirdest way.
Right.
It's
Yes.
so well done. It really
It's
is.
such a great movie. I feel like the only way that movie could be better, and maybe this isn't accurate, but I always thought the only way this could be better is if it were actually like the actors from either the original Star Trek or the Next Generation playing these roles. You wouldn't have been able to get the rights to it, but
No, it
that
wasn't
would have
Star
been
Trek.
Oh
I
no,
know,
it was the
but
best
it
Star
could have
Trek
been.
movie ever made.
Right.
Yes.
That's true.
Right.
That is
Yes,
absolutely true.
I mean, it clearly is Star Trek Galaxy Quest.
It is not. It's Galaxy Quest.
And the fandom.
Well,
it's-
now,
It's like
and I don't know how
Pokemon
they
and
got away with
Digimon.
it.
They're different.
But there's a show called The Orville,
yes.
made by Seth MacFarlane, and it's so it's so Star Trek. I don't know how they got away with it.
Yeah,
haven't
right,
seen it.
right. Yeah,
I've
it's
heard the
always a
same
sort of
thing.
parody,
Yeah.
right?
Well, there's the thing. It's the most loving parody ever.
Yes.
It's like Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek,
Mm.
and he also has a very crude sense of humor as whatever
Right.
show. So he basically created a show that has both, but it has genuine, deep Star Trek plots and jokes about anatomy.
Anatomy is funny, though.
Right.
Surely, yes.
Joseph is a scholar extraordinaire of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. Joseph, doesn't C.S. Lewis use the fact that we think our bodies are funny as a proof for existence of God?
That sounds right.
There's something about that. Yes.
Isn't that the first part of Mere Christianity?
I don't remember.
Or is that a different one? But there's one. He's like, yeah, we think our bodies are weird. So how can we do that if we weren't meant for, also had spiritual existence too?
I'd have to track that down, but yeah, that sounds like him. Right.
I feel like there's a rabbit hole there. That you
Surely
have to
one of the
go
most
down.
original arguments for the
Yeah.
existence of God. Look how funny everything is.
I think that's a great idea. We wouldn't find things funny if there weren't some kind of other world.
Hey, I like that. Yes, I get that.
Well, that's about 36 minutes. I think we're done. right?
I want to point out that at some point I was talking about my perler bead Nintendo projects, and Tim brought up a story and said it connected, and I feel like I was deceived
It did
because we changed topic altogether.
Well, something about conversations, Joseph, is that sometimes they ebb and flow and move from one topic to the other. And there are some times when people interject something like, hey, by the way, I'm doing this completely random thing,
Yeah.
and I'm going to talk
But-
about it.
Hey,
I
That's
should
why
say,
I
by the way,
said.
this is all very Jewish. So there's an old saying that, you have 2 Jews, you have 3 opinions. And it comes from the way in which, the ancient and medieval rabbis would sort of, because basically, you show an ancient or medieval rabbi a text, and the immediate thing they do is try and find a problem with it,
Mhm.
argue over it, and try and
Mhm.
resolve the problem through all kinds of interesting
Mhm.
thought process.
Sure.
Which, so basically, the Talmud, which is a collection of rabbis arguing over time, effectively does this. It sort of goes from one topic to another. I mean, there's a whole section about giving charity that starts from a discussion about the appropriate dowry to give someone, moves into a discussion about the community's responsibility to give dowry to an orphan girl, and then moves into the community responsibility to give money to the poor generally. And the entire section about Hanukkah, which is coming up soon in our calendar, is actually part of Tractate Shabbat, the tractate about the Sabbath, in which they're talking about whether you could the quality of wicks and oil and candle that you're supposed to use for Sabbath versus illumination for the rest of the week. And then somebody goes, squirrel, wicks and oils and candles, that reminds me of Hanukkah. And goes, can we use those kinds of candles for Hanukkah? And then there's like 5 pages of all the rules about Hanukkah.
I love it.
And then he goes back
Oh,
to the
that's
Sabbath.
great.
You see,
That's
so Joseph, you've given the thumbs up by an entire tradition. Talk
well,
about your perler beads.
right. I don't know if that. No, I don't think that's what's happening at all. I think Elon is pointing out that the tradition here supports you changing the topic.
Yes.
I tried to say, wait, is this about my perler beads?
You did say
So
that.
the topic wouldn't change.
Joseph,
I'm like the person in the Talmudic tradition who said, like, who writes, and no one please talk about anything else. But then they did anyway.
Joseph, looking at your perlers is proof that there is God.
Oh, thank you. All
Well,
right.
is,
Well,
is it the equivalent of sort of the watchmaker analogy? You know, that like
No. It's
no.
the
we can
perler
find-
beads is like the complexity of the world.
nothing as deep as that. It's because
No,
we
it's just
can
how beautiful
find
they are.
hilarity in things. Therefore, God exists.
Yeah. It's.
We're just trying to make Joseph feel better.
Oh,
No, we'll end it there. That's
Will we?
that's exactly the thing. That's all I needed to hear. I'm willing for us to talk about other things now.
no.
Well,
I have more I can show you.
Sabbath.
More perler beads.
well,
I don't do perler beads.
This is a podcast of
I've got Link. I've got Mario. I've got Crash.
He's still
Man.
going.
He is still going. Well,
Yeah. It takes a long time.
He's really
Putting those
just
little
he
things-
just needs us to give him affirmation.
Yes,
Joseph,
I spend a lot of time on
good
this.
job.
Good job.
Good job.
It's not a
You're
hyperfixation.
good
it's
enough,
just,
you're smart enough,
regular.
and gosh darn it, people like your perler beads.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yes.
I needed a priest and a rabbi to tell me, and a priest's wife, and my
Uh-huh.
producer, Adam. So,
Well, I'm glad that we've solved your problem for today.
oh, man, that's it. That's all I wanted.
Well, with that,
Wait, I want people to compliment me too.
nope, you don't.
Oh, no,
get it.
that's next episode.
Next episode is complimenting Helene.
I was inspired to do my perler beads by Helene's because over the summer when I visited you guys, I was like, look at all these cool video game perler beads that Helene made. So my glory is kind of yours.
Tim also made some.
Oh, all right. Fine, you both inspired me.
That's right.
Well, on
Right, I'm
that
done.
note, we should.
I won't say any
probably
more till
end
next
so we-
episode.
so we can stay on time. He just keeps on talking. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Thank you, Ilan, for joining us. We would
Thank you,
definitely
Ilan.
make another one with us because we have more than enough to talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, this was a lot of
He's
fun.
I
Come
think
again.
so.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone, and God bless and take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Shalom, y'all.
I'm like, hello, how are you? Aren't you pretty? You're so sweet. It's like, Tim, you're a creepy old man.